Can you imagine there's a bridge in Sweden that goes underwater? In Sweden, there is a unique bridge called the Öresund Bridge, which connects the country to Denmark. This bridge suddenly ends and dives underwater, turning into a tunnel. This engineering marvel was designed to avoid interfering with sea traffic. Driving from Sweden to Denmark gives the feeling that you're diving into the sea right in your car, adding an exciting element to the journey. It turns out that in some countries you can wash banknotes. In countries like Australia and Canada, banknotes are printed on a special polymer material, not paper, making them durable and waterproof. These plastic bills are not only harder to tear, but you can accidentally wash them in your pants pocket and they'll remain intact. This innovation has reduced the cost of producing banknotes and made them more long-lasting. The future of money is money that isn't afraid of water. Did you know that Scotland has 421 words for snow? In Scotland, the language is so rich in describing weather phenomena that they have as many as 421 words for snow. This discovery was made by the University of Glasgow as part of the Historical Thesaurus of Scots project. Some of these words are unique and sound quite unusual. For example, sneasel refers to fine rain or snow, and feeful means snow swirling in the wind. This vast vocabulary demonstrates how important snow and weather are in Scottish life. Hard to believe, but there's a flying snake in Africa. In Africa, there's a snake known as the tree glider that can move from branch to branch, almost as if it's flying. It flattens its body and uses it as a parachute, covering distances of up to 20 meters in the air. These snakes use their flight abilities to escape predators and quickly move between trees. They look like creatures from a sci-fi movie, but this is the reality of the wild, where anything is possible. Did you know car aromas can reduce accidents? It's surprising but true. The right scent inside a car can make driving safer. Studies show that aromas such as lavender or vanilla can calm drivers, reduce stress, and help maintain focus. A relaxed driver is less likely to be involved in an accident, making the choice of car scent not just a pleasant detail, but also an important safety factor. How would you react if you learned that it was Tim Berners-Lee who invented the World Wide Web? What if you found out that Tim Berners-Lee, a British scientist, was the one who created it? This is not just a change in technology, it's a revolution that radically transformed how we communicate and access information. In 1989, while working at CERN, Berners-Lee proposed a hypertext system that would link information through documents. This became the foundation for the World Wide Web, and since then, the internet has evolved, providing access to millions of websites and changing society. In the UK, there are many other scientists, such as Charles Darwin, Stephen Hawking, and Isaac Newton, whose discoveries and research laid the groundwork for modern sciences and technologies. Believe it or not, the world's smallest island is only a few square meters. Bishop Rock, located in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of England, holds the title of the world's smallest island. Its area is only 8 thousandths of a square kilometer, just 3 thousandths of a square mile. Despite its tiny size, the island boasts a lighthouse and is the most westerly point of England. It's officially recognized in the Guinness World Records as the smallest inhabited island, proving that even the smallest piece of land can be home to something remarkable. How did a book about cheese conquer the world, even in places where it's rarely eaten? In the 1990s, Spencer Johnson's book, Who Moved My Cheese, was published. It was a motivational fable in which cheese symbolized what people want to achieve in life. The book became wildly popular worldwide, even in countries where cheese is not part of the traditional diet, such as China. This was surprising as the book wasn't about real cheese but metaphorical cheese, which became a symbol of change and personal goals. The message about adapting to change proved to be universal, and the book sold millions of copies globally. Can you believe it? There are islands that appear and disappear. In some parts of the world, especially in the Indian Ocean region, there are sandy islands that appear and disappear depending on the tides. These islands are known as ghost islands. They may only exist for a few hours or days before being submerged again. This incredible natural phenomenon raises questions among scientists about how such unstable ecosystems form. Can you believe that the world's oldest cheese was found in a tomb over 3,000 years old? In 2014, archaeologists in China made an incredible discovery: the world's oldest cheese, buried in the tomb of a nobleman from the Bronze Age. Dating back to the 16th century BCE, this ancient cheese was made from a mixture of cow, goat, and sheep's milk. Thanks to the unique burial conditions, the cheese was well preserved, with a crumbly texture and a salty flavor. Interestingly, the bacteria used to make this cheese had consumed the lactose during fermentation, making it lactose-free. Can you imagine that on Mercury, the year is shorter than the day? On Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun, time works in a completely different way than on Earth. It takes only 88 Earth days for Mercury to complete a full orbit around the Sun, but one full rotation on its axis takes 176 Earth days. This means that on Mercury, one day lasts twice as long as a year. Can you imagine living on a planet where morning and evening are separated by months? This astonishing fact makes Mercury one of the most peculiar planets in our solar system. How did the term honeymoon originate, and what does it have to do with honey? The term honeymoon traces back to ancient Babylonian culture. It turns out that after a wedding, the bride's father would provide the newlyweds with a month's supply of honey and mead, a fermented honey drink. This ritual was believed to ensure happiness and fertility in the early days of marriage. Because of this tradition, the first month of marriage became known as the honeymoon, and this idea has endured through the ages, becoming a symbol of romantic getaways for newlyweds. Gorilla, gorilla, gorilla. Funny name or serious science? Who would have thought that one of the largest and most majestic animals on the planet bears such a funny scientific name? The western lowland gorilla is classified as gorilla, gorilla, gorilla. In biology, binomial nomenclature is used to classify species, and the repetition of the name here emphasizes the uniqueness of this particular subspecies. While it may sound amusing, for scientists, it's standard practice. Such naming helps to precisely identify species, avoiding confusion with other subspecies. So next time you see a gorilla, you can jokingly refer to its official scientific name. Did you know there are eternal lightning storms on Earth? In Venezuela, there is a place called Catatumbo, where lightning strikes almost constantly. This unique natural phenomenon occurs at Lake Maracaibo, where lightning can be observed on up to 250 days each year. Known as the Catatumbo lightning storm, lightning can flash up to 280 times an hour. Scientists believe this is due to the region's unique topography, which creates perfect conditions for constant discharges. This location has become a major attraction for tourists and scientists from around the world. El Popo, Mexico's fiery mountain. Popocatépetl, known as El Popo, is one of the most active and dangerous volcanoes in the world. Located just 50 kilometers from Mexico City, it regularly spews thousands of tons of gas and ash into the air, keeping geologists and locals on their toes. Its unpredictable nature makes it a constant threat, but also serves as a reminder of nature's power and destructive force. Each eruption of El Popo is a reminder that our planet is alive and capable of awe-inspiring phenomena. Did you know the world's oldest message in a bottle was found after more than a century? In 2018, a bottle washed ashore on a beach in Western Australia containing a message tossed into the Indian Ocean by a German ship in 1886. This message had traveled through the seas for an incredible 132 years before being discovered. Talk about slow and steady mail service. It's a fascinating glimpse into the past, connecting us with a different era. Have you ever considered that ethnic tension in the US is still an issue? Tensions between ethnic groups remain one of the most pressing social issues in the United States. Historically, laws prohibiting marriage between people of different races were in place, and it wasn't until 1967 that this ban was lifted. Nevertheless, racial tension continues to be a significant topic in American politics, culture, and daily life. Social movements like Black Lives Matter aim to highlight this issue, which remains relevant to society as a whole. How about this? In Turkey, there is an ancient underground city that could hold over 20,000 people. Derinkuyu is one of the largest and most mysterious underground cities in the world. It was built thousands of years ago in Cappadocia and consists of several levels deep underground. For centuries, the city was used as a refuge during wars and raids. It included everything needed for life: living quarters, wineries, churches, ventilation shafts, and even schools. The city was discovered accidentally in 1963, and to this day, archaeologists have not fully explored all of its secrets. Can you imagine that fungi are closer to animals than plants? Believe it or not, fungi share a common ancestor with animals, dating back more than 1 billion years. Unlike plants, fungi are heterotrophs, which means they can't produce their own food through photosynthesis. Instead, they absorb nutrients from organic matter, just like animals. This makes fungi a unique form of life, existing somewhere between the plant and animal kingdoms. Fungi are nature's recyclers, breaking down dead matter and returning nutrients to the ecosystem. It's interesting that Tokyo has no street addresses. In Tokyo, addresses are assigned not to streets but to buildings, which is very unusual for a large city. Buildings are numbered in order of construction, not by their location on a street. This means finding the right address for the first time can be challenging if you're not familiar with the area. Instead of streets, residents and visitors orient themselves by metro stations and districts, giving Tokyo a unique charm and character. Have you ever wondered that in Italy there is an exploding vegetable garden? In the Italian village of Trevestare, there is an astonishing phenomenon. Plants in local vegetable gardens can literally explode under certain weather conditions. This happens due to the accumulation of gas in the soil, which with sudden changes in pressure or temperature can cause small bursts. The locals call this phenomenon the Garden of Fire. Science does not yet have a clear explanation, but it has become a part of local culture and a tourist attraction. Did you know that money originated in the Stone Age? The history of money begins in the Stone Age when people exchanged goods through barter. However, this system was inconvenient, as it was difficult to find someone who wanted to trade their goods specifically for yours. In response to this limitation, people began to seek universal items for exchange, and the first such items were livestock, cattle, pigs, and sheep. Later, people started using more portable forms of money, such as rare types of shells. Why do wolves run on their toes? Wolves have a unique way of moving. They run on their toes. This special technique helps them make quick stops, sharp turns, and protect the pads of their feet from wear and tear. Running on their toes keeps wolves agile and ready to react to anything in their environment, like having built-in brakes and durable shoes all in one. This skill makes wolves some of the most efficient hunters in the wild, allowing them to navigate dense forests and open terrain with ease. The legend of the cookie, how Nestle got the recipe in exchange for chocolate. We all love chocolate chip cookies, but do you know how they became so popular? In the 1930s, Ruth Wakefield invented the famous Toll House chocolate chip cookie, but she didn't sell the recipe to Nestle. Instead, Ruth made a deal where Nestle would print her recipe on their chocolate bars, and in return, she received a lifetime supply of chocolate. That's how chocolate chip cookies became a worldwide favorite, and Ruth Wakefield's name went down in culinary history. Greenland shark, the longest living creature of the ocean, 500 years of life. Believe it or not, Greenland sharks can live up to 500 years. These ancient inhabitants of the cold waters of the North Atlantic are among the longest living vertebrates on Earth. Scientists have determined the age of sharks by studying the lenses of their eyes, which accumulate layers over time, much like the rings on a tree. Some of these sharks were born before the Renaissance. This incredible fact highlights how fascinating and underexplored the underwater world is. Imagine, the oldest sharks may have been swimming in the ocean when the first pyramids were being built. Did you know a group of kangaroos is called a mob? Yes, that's true. A group of these fascinating animals is called a mob, and the name perfectly describes their social behavior. Kangaroos live in large groups, moving and foraging together. Their social structure is well coordinated, with each mob acting as a unit. This makes them unique not only biologically, but also behaviorally. Now, when you see a group of kangaroos, you can call them a mob and impress your friends with this fun fact. The world's shiniest fruit. Meet the African palea. Believe it or not, the shiniest living organism on Earth is not a gemstone or an exotic animal, but the African fruit Palea condensata. This vibrant blue fruit with an iridescent sheen has a unique ability to reflect light. Its outer surface reflects light so intensely that it appears to glow from within. Scientists are studying this phenomenon to better understand how such a structure can be created in nature. This fruit has become a true mystery for botanists because its glow is caused by microscopic cell structures that reflect light like diamonds. No wonder it's considered one of the shiniest things on Earth. Did you know that in the US, 1 in 8 couples met through online dating? This is an intriguing and telling fact about how technology has transformed personal relationships. Modern Americans increasingly turn to the internet to find partners, making this a norm in the digital age. This trend continues to grow, with dating sites becoming ever more popular. Over the past few decades, online dating has become an integral part of life for most Americans. It's hard to believe, but giraffes and humans have the same number of neck vertebrae. Despite the fact that a giraffe's neck is much longer, both giraffes and humans have the same number of neck vertebrae, 7. These bones provide support for the head and allow neck mobility. In giraffes, they are simply much longer than in humans. This fascinating fact highlights the amazing diversity of evolution and nature, despite the external differences between species. The surprising trend in Japan, pets preferred over children. Imagine this. In Japan, there are now more pets than children. This surprising fact highlights modern social trends. More and more Japanese people are choosing to have pets instead of children. Statistics show that the number of pets in Japan exceeds the number of children under the age of 15. This is due to many factors, such as the high costs of raising children, career ambitions, and limited housing space. Pets require less time and resources, but still bring joy and a sense of care. This trend reflects global changes in the perception of family life and values in different countries around the world. Did you know that Earth is not a perfect sphere? Our planet is far from being a perfect sphere. Its rotation causes it to bulge slightly at the equator and flatten at the poles. This shape is known as a geoid and results from the centrifugal force generated by Earth's spin. The difference in diameter between the poles and the equator is around 40 kilometers. This deviation from a perfect sphere shows how dynamic Earth truly is, always shaped by the forces acting upon it, even in ways we can't see from the surface. Did you know that Neptune was discovered using math? Neptune is the only planet whose existence was predicted through mathematical calculations before it was seen through a telescope. In the 19th century, astronomers noticed that Uranus's orbit didn't match expectations, and they hypothesized that this was caused by the gravitational pull of an unknown planet. After calculations and extensive observation, Neptune was discovered, marking a triumph of science. This fact shows how powerful math is. It helped discover an entire planet long before it could be seen. Who would have thought that the most densely populated state in the US is New Jersey? Despite its small size, New Jersey boasts an incredibly high population density, making it unique in terms of living space. However, California deserves attention for its urbanization and its role as a global tech hub, home to major cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco. Ultimately, every U.S. state is unique and plays its part in the overall picture of the country, serving as an important cultural and economic center. Imagine for a moment that Stonehenge is older than the Egyptian pyramids. Stonehenge is a mysterious monument that remains one of the world's greatest enigmas. It was built around 3000 BC, making it older than the oldest pyramid, the Great Pyramid of Khufu in Egypt, which was constructed around 2500 BC. It is unknown how ancient people managed to erect such a grand structure, and importantly, why they did so. This makes Stonehenge an important archaeological and cultural landmark. Did you know that Great Britain was not always an island? Great Britain is an island nation that comprises 4 countries: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. However, it wasn't always an island. About 88,000 years ago, before the Ice Age, the land that is now Great Britain was part of the continent. It was only after rising sea levels separated the land that Great Britain became an island. This process was a result of climate change and altered the entire geography of the region. Believe it or not, lasers can actually cool objects. While lasers are typically associated with heat, there are special lasers that can cool objects down to ultra-low temperatures. This process, called laser cooling, is used to reach temperatures near absolute zero. These technologies play a key role in quantum physics and are used in experiments with atoms and particles, leading to groundbreaking discoveries in science. Did you know that the whale shark is the largest fish in the world? Whale sharks can grow up to 12 meters long, making them the largest fish on the planet. Despite their immense size, these gentle giants feed mainly on plankton and tiny organisms. They filter massive amounts of water daily through their enormous mouths. Don't worry though, whale sharks are completely harmless to humans and can even be quite friendly if you ever encounter them in the ocean. The secret to flight: 4 forces that keep a plane in the air. A plane's flight isn't just about its wings. In reality, there are 4 forces at work: lift, thrust, drag, and gravity. Lift keeps the plane in the air thanks to the wings. Thrust propels the plane forward through its engines. Drag resists the plane's motion, and gravity pulls it down. These forces work together to maintain stable flight, like a well-choreographed dance where each force has its role. Understanding these forces can make the marvel of flight even more fascinating. Wow! Did you know that spiders can jump incredible distances? A jumping spider can leap up to 15 times its body length. This would be like a human leaping across a football field in one bound. These spiders use their back legs as springs, compressing them and then suddenly straightening to get a powerful push. Jumping spiders also have keen eyesight, allowing them to accurately target prey or safe landing spots, and even avoid predators. Sharks can smell a drop of blood from miles away. Sharks have one of the most impressive senses of smell in the animal kingdom. They can detect blood in a ratio of 1 part per million of water, allowing them to track their prey from great distances. This ability makes sharks some of the most dangerous predators in the ocean. Their olfactory system is so developed that they can detect even the slightest changes in the chemical composition of water. Sharks not only track prey, but can also avoid potential threats, making them true masters of survival. This incredible sense of smell enables them to hunt effectively, even in the deepest, darkest waters. So if you find yourself in the ocean with a cut, beware. A shark could sense it from miles away. Believe it or not, birds can talk. Many species of parrots can mimic human speech, but not because they understand words. They memorize the sounds and rhythms they hear and repeat them with surprising accuracy. Moreover, some parrots can remember and reproduce dozens of phrases and even sing tunes. This ability has made them popular as pets, as they can mimic entire sentences from their owners, adding funny and sometimes unexpected elements to conversations. Did you know ketchup was originally sold as medicine? In the 19th century, ketchup was considered not just a tasty condiment, but a real medicine. It was developed as a remedy for digestive problems and sold in pharmacies. Imagine going in for stomach relief and getting a bottle of ketchup. Today it seems strange as we are used to ketchup on burgers and fries, but its journey from pharmacies to kitchens was surprisingly interesting. Who would have thought that giraffe spots are like fingerprints? Giraffes are not only majestic creatures, but they also have a unique feature. Each giraffe's spot pattern is as individual as a human fingerprint. No 2 giraffes have the same spot configuration, which makes them truly one of a kind. These spots serve more than just an aesthetic function. They help regulate body temperature in the hot savanna and assist in social recognition within their groups. So next time you see a giraffe, remember that its spots are as unique as your fingerprint. The human nose, a super sensitive organ. The human nose is more than just a smell detector, it's a true sensory powerhouse. Scientists once thought that humans could only distinguish about 10,000 different smells, but recent research shows that we can actually detect up to 1 trillion distinct scents. This amazing discovery reveals just how complex and sensitive our sense of smell is. We can identify not only pleasant fragrances, but also warning smells like smoke or gas. The human nose is truly a superhero among the senses. The first computer mouse was made of wood. In 1964, Douglas Engelbart invented the first computer mouse, and it was made of wood. This device, with 2 metal wheels, revolutionized how humans interact with computers. Today, modern mice are much more advanced, but that wooden mouse remains a landmark in computer history. How much do you think the world's largest burger weighs? In 2017, a Michigan restaurant cooked up the world's biggest burger, weighing in at a whopping 1,164 kilograms. That's over 2,500 pounds of beef. The burger was stacked with 300 pounds of cheese, 150 pounds of lettuce, 150 pounds of onions, and 100 pounds of bacon. It took 10 hours to cook and was served to 350 guests. That's one burger you'll never forget. Why does Italy have a bell tower that sings? In the quiet town of Cefalù, Sicily, stands an unusual bell tower that produces melodic sounds when the wind whistles through it. This effect is created by narrow slits in the tower's structure that transform the airflow into music resembling organ sounds. Locals call it the voice of the tower, believing it preserves the memory of ancient times. Tourists from around the world come to hear this unique melody on cloudy, windy days, filling the streets with a mystical sound. Apple, the richest company in the world. As of January 2024, Apple reached a market capitalization of $2,890 billion. This makes it the most valuable company in the world, surpassing giants like Microsoft and Saudi Aramco. Apple continues to surprise the world with its innovations, shaping the future of technology and influencing the global economy. Every new Apple product creates a frenzy, and its impact on the modern world is hard to overstate. It's amazing how one company can have such a huge influence on millions of lives. How Albert Einstein inspired the character of Yoda. Did you know that the appearance of the legendary Star Wars character, Master Yoda, was partially inspired by Albert Einstein? The filmmakers used photos of the great scientist to give Yoda a wise and thoughtful look. Einstein's genius features, such as his wrinkles, pensive expression, and tired yet intelligent gaze, were the foundation for creating one of the most recognizable characters in film history. This fascinating fact shows how modern cultural icons can be linked to real geniuses of the past. The next time you watch Star Wars, remember that Yoda's wise look hides a bit of one of history's greatest scientists. Why has Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia become a symbol of infinity and magic? Salar de Uyuni is the largest salt flat in the world, characterized by an endless white expanse. This place has an incredible atmosphere, especially during the rainy season, when water covers the surface, transforming it into a gigantic mirror-like lake. This makes Salar de Uyuni not only a spot for unique photographs, but also a symbol of infinity, wonder, and magic. Did you know that platypuses are venomous? This cute and mysterious animal from Australia has a real weapon hidden in its legs. Male platypuses have venomous spurs on their hind legs, which they use to inject toxins into their enemies or competitors during mating battles. While the venom is not deadly to humans, it can cause excruciating pain that lasts for months. Who would have thought that these seemingly harmless animals could be so dangerous? Did you know that wild bananas are full of seeds? Most people imagine bananas as sweet, soft fruits, but it turns out that wild bananas are quite different. They are literally packed with large seeds, making them extremely inconvenient to eat. The bananas we enjoy today are the result of selective breeding, which has made the seeds almost invisible. Imagine, without human intervention, bananas would be a completely different fruit, and eating them would be far less enjoyable. Did you know that the colored squares on toothpaste tubes aren't magic? You've probably noticed the small colored squares at the end of toothpaste tubes. Some people believe that these colored markings indicate the product's composition, whether it's natural or chemical. But the truth is, that's just a myth. These marks, which can be black, blue, red, or green, are known as eye marks and serve purely technical purposes. They help machines on the production line correctly orient the tube for packaging and labeling. These marks contain no information about the toothpaste's ingredients or quality. So next time you see such a mark, you'll know it's just a technical detail, not a sign of some mysterious chemical composition. Why don't newborns cry tears? Newborn babies can cry, but they don't shed tears. How is that possible? Their tear glands are not fully developed. In fact, it can take several weeks for newborns to start crying with tears. So while babies can loudly express their dissatisfaction, you won't see real tears until sometime after birth. This is one of the little wonders that happen in the first weeks of a baby's life. Did you know that Hawaii is home to the tallest mountain peak in the world? Although Mount Everest is the highest point on land, when considering the underwater portion of the Mauna Kea volcano, it is 1.9 kilometers taller. Mauna Kea is a submarine volcano that begins on the ocean floor and rises nearly 10 kilometers upwards. From its summit, there are breathtaking views, and this volcano is regarded not only as a geographical wonder, but also as sacred by the local Hawaiians. Mauna Kea attracts the attention of scientists and tourists from around the globe, as its grandeur inspires admiration and respect. How many species of animals do you think are on Earth? Our planet is a true treasure trove, home to over 8,700,000 species of animals. Even more astonishing is that over 80% of these creatures remain undiscovered. These mysterious beings, hidden from our eyes, are waiting for their moment to reveal their secrets. As we explore the animal kingdom, we uncover the wonders of nature, reminding us of the endless mystery and diversity of our planet. Is it really possible that Halong Bay is one of the most mystical places on the planet? Halong Bay in Vietnam is a true natural wonder. Thousands of islets immersed in green waters create the impression of a mystical world where reality blends with myth. The limestone formations rising from the ocean make this bay incredibly beautiful and mysterious. This place attracts tourists with its mystical charm and is perfect for those seeking solitude amidst natural beauty. The inventor of pop-up ads regrets it, the story of the most annoying internet invention. In the 90s, pop-up ads seemed like a great idea. Ethan Zuckerman created them to separate advertising content from the main one, but they quickly became an annoying part of the internet. Years later, Zuckerman publicly apologized for his invention, admitting that it caused more harm than good. This is an example of how technologies created with good intentions can turn into real problems. Chocolate cosmos. Imagine a flower that smells like chocolate. The chocolate cosmos, Cosmos atrasanguineus, is a flower that might surprise you with its scent, reminiscent of real chocolate. This dark red flower, native to Central America, is so rare that it's almost extinct in the wild. Yet it continues to be cultivated in gardens worldwide to enjoy its unique aroma. Imagine strolling through a garden where, instead of floral scents, you breathe in the sweet, enticing smell of chocolate. It's nature's gift to those with a sweet tooth. An endless chocolate bar? Illusion or reality? The illusion of an endless chocolate bar is a geometric trick that creates the impression that a bar of chocolate can regenerate itself infinitely. It's an ingenious visual illusion that tricks our minds into believing in mathematical magic. Unfortunately, this trick doesn't work with real chocolate bars, but wouldn't it be a dream come true if it did? Did you know that koalas have fingerprints just like humans? Yes, these fluffy Australian creatures have fingerprints that are almost identical to those of humans. Their intricate and unique patterns are so similar that if a koala left a print at a crime scene, it could be mistaken for a human's. This surprising similarity adds to their charm, making them even more fascinating. Nature never ceases to amaze, creating such unexpected similarities between species. Imagine koalas as little detectives, leaving their own unique traces in the eucalyptus forest. Did you know the first alarm clock could only ring at one time? Imagine an alarm clock that only rings at 4 in the morning. That's exactly what the first alarm clock was like, invented by Levi Hutchins in 1787. This primitive, but at the time innovative device was designed solely for Hutchins' personal use. It didn't allow the user to choose a time, but it guaranteed an early rise. After all, 4 a.m. leaves no room for just 5 more minutes. Nonetheless, this invention was the forerunner of the modern alarm clocks we now wrestle with every morning. Ancient Roman firefighters and their unusual tactics. In ancient Rome, firefighting wasn't just about saving lives. It was a business. When a fire broke out, firefighters would rush to the scene, but they would only put out the flames if the property owner agreed on a price. This strange combination of urgency and negotiation shows just how different firefighting was back then compared to today. Back in those days, saving a building from flames required both money and quick decisions. How would you react if you found out that there are over 100 words for rain in Britain? It's not a joke. The English language boasts more than 100 words to describe different types of rain. This emphasis on describing precipitation is due to the constant rainy weather in the UK. And if you ever find yourself in Britain on a rainy day, remember that the best way to cope with the dreary weather is by having a cup of tea, which is also an important part of British culture. How did London almost start growing pineapples in the middle of winter? In the 17th century, the English wanted pineapples so much that they started building special greenhouses to grow them. These greenhouses, called pineapple houses, were heated with coal, and it could take up to 2 years to grow a single pineapple. Considering that pineapples were a true rarity back then, they were given as royal gifts, symbolizing luxury and status. Did you know that animals can be allergic to humans? Believe it or not, allergies aren't just a human problem. Animals can suffer from them too. Some pets can develop allergies to human dander, just like we can be allergic to animal fur. This can cause symptoms such as breathing difficulties and skin irritation, much like the allergic reactions we experience. It's a surprising reminder that allergies don't discriminate between species, and even our beloved furry friends can be sensitive to us. Amazingly, octopuses have 3 hearts. Octopuses are fascinating creatures with 3 hearts. One pumps blood to the body, and the other 2 pump blood through the gills. Moreover, their blood is blue because it contains copper instead of iron. This makes octopuses not only mysterious, but also some of the most unique creatures on Earth. It's hard to imagine that nature could create such amazing beings with such a unique system. Have you ever thought about the fact that you can see a double rainbow on Mars? Surprisingly, it's true. On Mars, you can sometimes witness not just one, but a double rainbow. However, these aren't the rainbows we're used to seeing on Earth. The Martian atmosphere is so thin that ordinary raindrops don't form, but rainbows can appear due to fine dust and ice crystals floating in the air. Even though there's no rain on Mars, these dusty rainbows look particularly mesmerizing. But if you want to see one, you'll have to wait. Martian weather phenomena happen very rarely. How do insects breathe without lungs? Insects have a fascinating respiratory system. They don't have lungs, but instead breathe through tiny pores called spiracles. These spiracles are located on their thorax and abdomen, allowing air to flow through a network of tubes called trachea. Some insects can even control their breathing by opening and closing the spiracles, and in low oxygen conditions, they can temporarily slow their metabolism by recycling the oxygen stored in their tracheae. This respiratory system is just one of the many ingenious adaptations that help insects thrive in diverse environments. Have you ever thought about how Petra in Jordan remained hidden from the world for almost 2,000 years? Petra is an ancient city carved into the rock, concealed from outsiders until 1812, when Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt stumbled upon it. This incredible city, once a thriving trade center, is now one of the most visited attractions in the Middle East. Its intricate architectural forms, hewn from red sandstone, make Petra not only a remarkable historical site, but also a true architectural wonder. Did you know that Philadelphia was the first capital of the United States? This city was chosen to host the Continental Congress, which played a crucial role in the country's independence. The city's name, derived from Greek, means brotherly love, symbolizing the spirit of unity and mutual support that inspired the early Americans in the formation of their new nation. Today, Philadelphia continues to hold significant historical importance in the context of the U.S. and remains a site for important cultural and political events. It's hard to believe, but the Great Wall of China is not a single structure, but a collection of separate walls. The Great Wall stretches for thousands of kilometers and consists of a series of various fortifications built to protect China from northern invasions. Contrary to popular myth, it is not one continuous structure, but rather a chain of different walls that connected at various points. This monumental structure holds historical significance and symbolizes the strength and protection of Chinese civilization. The inventor of the Super Soaker water gun worked for NASA. Who would have thought that Lonnie Johnson, the creator of the famous Super Soaker water gun, was an engineer at NASA? Johnson worked on developing advanced technologies for space missions, such as the Galileo project to Jupiter. But in his spare time, he developed toys, and one of his ideas became a global hit. The Super Soaker became an iconic water gun that kids around the world played with. This example shows that innovation can come from the most unexpected places, and an engineer's genius can create not only space technology, but also unforgettable childhood moments. Wow, it turns out that Virginia has gifted the United States more presidents than any other state. Among the notable presidents born in this state are figures like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. Virginia is considered the birthplace of American democracy, and its historical legacy continues to influence the political life of the country. This also symbolizes the importance of the state in shaping the political culture of the U.S. and its role in the nation's quest for independence. What is a clowder? Meet a group of cats. Have you ever wondered what a group of cats is called? It turns out the proper term is clowder. This quirky word is used to describe several cats gathered together. There are other terms like glaring or pounce for groups of cats, but clowder sounds especially charming. The next time you see a bunch of cats hanging out, you can impress everyone with your knowledge of this unusual term.